No, you, okay. Yeah.
Oh, my co-professor Anand Kusre is here. Good
He,
morning, Anand. I know you're muted, but that's okay. So Anand and I started DSSC together in 2014. Yeah.
Well, that's the kind of inputs and stories what people are looking for, and that's why probably they are here also.
right, right.
Right.
You need to highlight that, okay, Rajan. I may not have all those facts either. I have some facts, but some of them are not rated. They are PG.
Yeah.
So I don't
No.
know where to interject with those, Vaibhav, But
Yeah. No, let me
milk
start
like,
and let's see. Yeah, let's see during the talk, what actually happened. So anyway, I
yeah.
think it's already 8:30 p.m. 1 minute past 8:30 p.m. IST. Of course, depending on different time zones. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, depending on your respective time zones. I think both Rajan, and I are joining from the Americas. So it's morning for all three of us. But I'm guessing here there are participants from Africa, from Europe, of course, from India, and of course from the Americas as well. For Japan participant, it becomes a little bit tricky because it gets too late. And same for participants from Australia, unfortunately. But we try to actually have these talks on Saturday, especially 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. IST, because this kind of fulfills most of the time dimensions across different continents. So that's the kind of idea here. But nonetheless, as I tell in all the talks, I will briefly introduce TEG. So I started leading a startup and entrepreneurship group in May 2023, and we came up with this idea to have some kind of talk, but also create a platform where young entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs, get some support from veteran entrepreneurs, academics, business leaders, and they kind of get support, but also reach out to fellow other entrepreneurs and leaders in case if they need kind of some sort of help or mentorship, in their entrepreneurship journey or in their professional life in general. So, of course, it's amazing to see in 2 years now, we have around 3,600 plus kind of TEG tribe per se on TEG, but around 4,000 plus on different platforms, including Telegram and WhatsApp group and TEG registrations as well. And the idea has been the same that, of course, the idea has been that we have veteran entrepreneurs like we have Rajan today, uh, who can share their journey, share their learnings, also provide some kind of mentorship needed by budding entrepreneurs, but also to have people from academia and policy world, so that it creates that kind of holistic environment where entrepreneurship can thrive. And we have been focusing largely on IITB alumni because, of course, it's IITB Alumni Association initiative, but we have kept it open to everyone because this is something, anybody and everybody can benefit from, whosoever is kind of looking forward to some kind of help. Of course, we have an active WhatsApp group, which is open to everyone. We have kept it open to everyone. And there are different special interest groups within that larger TG community. So TG group is per se, we keep it very selective on what people can discuss and talk about, but we have different groups, for example, in AI. So in the AI group, if you would like to, talk about what's happening in AI, for example, to feel free to do that and feel free to ask around and work around that. Similarly, we have on energy, on quantum, on deep tech, on marketing and things like that. So feel free to post and talk and discuss and look forward to synergies in that particular WhatsApp group and community. And with that, and not taking more time, I would like to ask, of course, good friend and TEG mentor, Rajan Vaz, who is already with us, to introduce Rajan, in short, Raj. And the fun thing is that they both are classmates. So the idea here is he introduces him formally, but also shares some informal events and anecdotes from life, which makes this particular thing a lot more interesting. To you, Rajan, please go ahead.
Yeah. So as Vaibhav says, good evening, good afternoon, and good morning to everyone, and welcome to this TEG session on entrepreneurship in the AI era. It is my pleasure to introduce tonight's speaker, my batchmate from IIT Bombay, class of 1975, which I like to call an illustrious batch of the IITB, and I can discuss that at length with anyone who is interested as to why I say that. So anyway, today's speaker is Raj Jaswa. Now, when Raj and I graduated from IIT Bombay 50 years ago, yes, 50, as you can see, at least from my hair, none of us could have imagined what lay ahead. Some of us went on to do reasonably well, but Raj, on the other hand, decided to become a serial entrepreneur, build companies worth billions of dollars, and make the rest of us look bad at alumni reunions. So, and to to say the least, Raj showed very early signs of his inclination to entrepreneurship when the guy with the cute dimples, as we used to tease him, took on the lofty topic of technology forecasting, when the rest of us took on very meaningless or very inconsequential topics. I don't think many of us even remember what our topics were. I, for one, don't. After IIT, as many of us in those days came over to North America, Raj earned his master's in electrical engineering from the University of Toronto and an MBA from Stetson University. He started his career at Harris Corporation and General Electric, then spent 6 years at Intel, which, as we all know, is basically a finishing school for Silicon Valley entrepreneurs. In 1988, Raj co-founded Opti, which became the world's largest supplier of chipsets for personal computers. If you used an IBM, HP, Dell, or Compaq PC in those days, in the early 1990s, there's a good chance Raj's company was powering it. Opti went public in 1993. But Raj was just getting started. In 1996, he co-founded Selectica, an enterprise software company that landed clients like General Electric, BMW, Cisco, Samsung, and Dell. Selectica went public in 2000 and achieved a peak market cap of $5 billion, making it one of the 10 most successful IPOs of that year. Quite an achievement there. The company made it to the Forbes 500, the Inc. 500, and several other lists that the rest of us can only dream about. After stepping back from Selectica, most people would have retired to a golf course. Not Raj. He volunteered full-time as president of Thai Silicon Valley from 2005 to 2008, the world's largest nonprofit dedicated to helping entrepreneurs. He continues to serve on Thai's global board of trustees. Then he became CEO of Dyyno, a live video streaming platform. And because that apparently wasn't enough, he now teaches entrepreneurship at our alma mater, the Desai Sethi School of Entrepreneurship at IIT Bombay, which is again founded by one of our other batchmates, Bharat Desai, and his wife, Nirja Sethi. He also teaches at IIT Gandhinagar. So tonight we have with us someone who has built billion-dollar companies, taken multiple startups public, mentored hundreds of entrepreneurs, and is now shaping the next generation of founders in India. His dealing with entrepreneurs has been very impactful. As a matter of fact, I am going to share with you a testimonial that one of his students sent him recently on the occasion of his birthday. I'll send it in the chat. It's a lengthy testimonial that they shared with him, and he shared with us. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to our distinguished batchmate and alumni, Rajan Jaswa.
Perfect.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Rajan. Thank you, Professor Vaibhav. And I'm so happy to talk to, fellow alumni. We are all blessed people to have, had this amazing opportunity to be, to have 5 years, with each other at IIT before getting started on our, individualistic careers. And everyone has contributed, to their to the world. Anyway, so basically, I've been teaching entrepreneurship with Professor Anand Kusre, and we've got IIT Bombay's entrepreneurship teaching initiated in 2014, and I think about 3,000 students have gone through our gone through the material, the course, the teaching that we did, and and I suddenly found this year when I was asked to teach a Zoom 8-week course that all my entrepreneurship material, probably around 3,000 PowerPoint slides on just about anything and everything to do with entrepreneurship, was obsolete. And it just shocked me that all my material, all my academic material was obsolete. The only thing that was not obsolete was the stories that we tell our students during this entrepreneurship course. The stories were not obsolete, but all the PowerPoint slides, the messages, the teaching, everything was obsolete. And so when I was asked to teach this course, I basically said, wow, guys, anything and everything that I'm going to teach, AI can teach you in 5 minutes and much better than I can ever teach. So let's see how we are going to, talk about this entrepreneurship with this AI that has suddenly shown up. So then, I think it was probably my best class, best 8 week or what a class, because I was learning at the same time that the students were learning, and we were all kind of learning about what this AI is going to do to all of us. And the more I got into it, the more exciting it has gotten. In fact, now, I'm like I'm like I watch these AI podcasts, which I think all of you probably start watching too. But it's like it keeps you so excited. When you watch this thing called Moonshot by Peter Diamandis, uh, and I would recommend that everybody take a look at that Peter Diamandis. So let me go tell you a little bit about what I see. The future of entrepreneurship is going to be in the AI age. It's a big task to take on such a thing, because uh, we are all in uncharted territory right now, and it's going to get even worse or better, however you look at it. And so humans, in my opinion, became the dominant species on land, air, water, and space because we grew this massive prefrontal cortex. And I never really understood about why my brain is so much bigger till I see a lot of the deer in my neighborhood, in my backyard, and they have a very small space for a brain, and that's why they don't have a big prefrontal cortex. But humans have got this big prefrontal cortex, and it has this one thing has made us the dominant species on land, air, and space. And this biological neural network has given us two things: intelligent awareness and the ability to learn. Very important thing to realize. Two things: intelligent awareness and the ability to learn. And this carbon based network has now created a silicon based neural network, which has now got two new capabilities. One, which is scalability and virtually no limits. So suddenly you have something with hyperscalability and no limits, with intelligent awareness and the ability to learn. And it's like human beings, in comparison, feel slow, weak, uh, time bound, and so we have moved from the and this AI has moved, the silicon based AI has moved from a rudimentary pattern recognition of the early 2010s to the transformer breakthroughs by, I think, one of our IIT Delhi guys, uh, Vaswani, who was working at Google in 2017. And AI is now rivaling, less than 10 years after this transformer breakthrough, the most brilliant human beings in virtually every field of human endeavor. All jobs are vulnerable to AI agents that can do the work better, faster, and cheaper. This begs the question: how are we going to earn a living? And how are we going to live a meaningful life? To answer that, let's look at how we got here. The earliest AI, about 60 years ago, consisted of rules engines. We input the rules using symbolic logic, and this AI could do single tasks and could not learn anything. To do anything it did not have a specific rule for. Then, about 40 years ago, we came up with constraint engines. In fact, one of my co-founders of Selectica at Xerox PARC, Dr. Sanjay Mittal, came up with the constraint engine at Xerox PARC in the 80s. And he said, you just have to define the constraints around any problem, any process, any product, any system, and then AI would test thousands of scenarios to find a valid solution. So you can see a little bit of intelligence truly evolving from rules engines to constraint engines. And I saw this power firsthand, you know, and so I co-founded one of the earliest constraint engine startups in 1996, along with Dr. Sanjay Mittal. And within 5 years, the global giants like IBM, Cisco, Dell, Samsung, Hitachi in Japan, they were running basically their ordering system, their pricing system, everything on the Selectica platform. But it had a major weakness. As business evolved, and business is always changing, right? Products are changing, customers are changing, pricing is changing, everything is changing. As business evolved, the new constraints had to be manually put in by engineers. People make mistakes, the system doesn't, and it has to be tested. So it was very slow and painful and expensive because it could not learn from its own data. And it certainly couldn't speak. So communication and everything, and putting in new rules, everything was programmatic. So, uh, so, so we now have something that leads us to the modern era. So in this, one second. So in this modern era, um, we have something now called neural networks, which try to match what the human brain does. And our carbon-based neural network does, right? And it mimics the human brain. And the silicon-based intelligence now can do everything that humans can do and infinitely more. And only our imagination limits AI's capabilities. This is the gift, but also the challenge that our generation, all of us, are leaving to the future generations of humanity. This gift of silicon based neural networks, which can do anything that humans can do, infinitely more, and which only human imagination is going to limit, is the gift we are giving to future generations. The world changed, and it's never going to go back. So let us discuss how all of us, as well as the next generation, is going to have a productive, prosperous, and successful career for their 50 years and their life. So, to do that, we have to ask, are there any lessons we can learn from the pre AI era? Here is what I learned about successful startups over 25 years. And frankly, the lessons came from dispelling myths. Myth number one was that money does not ensure success. The myth number one is that money ensures success, and the answer is no. That's absolute nonsense. At my company Opti, we did not get a single venture capital dollar, and yet, our competitor, Chips and Technologies, which was sitting on a war chest of $250 million, we drove them into bankruptcy. And it's not about bank account. It's about the hunger. Myth number two is that you need a breakthrough technology to do a startup. I've founded 3 startups. Each had totally different markets, totally different technologies, totally different customers. In fact, at Dyyno, my last startup, we had 9 Stanford PhDs who had been working on peer-to-peer video streaming. The technology was brilliant, but best technology does not always win. A serial entrepreneur can build a great company with good enough tech, but you cannot build a great company with bad business sense. Myth number 3, that you need a proven CEO. And I remember, we were young then, just, middle level managers, me and my 3 co-founders. And we went to VC saying, hey, we know the chipset business and this and that and everything. And after we would give our pitch, the VCs would look around at the 4 of us and say, hey, where is the white CEO? So basically, you know, uh, clearly, we couldn't raise money, and yet we plowed ahead and we built a successful public chipset company in the semiconductor business, and had great success. So, well, we proved that you don't need to look a certain way to lead a company to a massive exit. Just a sec. So, if those are the myths, then what are the true strategies, right? What are the true strategies in the pre-AI world? So these are 8 rules that I live by, and that helped me create all these companies in any industry, any technology, any team, right? One is be responsive to the market. That's an obvious. Once you've been an entrepreneur, you're not infatuated with technology. You're not infatuated with the amount of money you've raised. the only boss is the market. So be responsive to your boss. Second is fast product development. That is also an obvious. And third is very important actually is great teamwork, which means learning how to delegate and trust. And that should be the operating modus operandi of your company among all the employees. A lot of a great teamwork driven by delegation and trust. And then what I learned is business is not for the weak hearted. It's not about friendship. It's about fierce competition. And I learned this, and I learned the art of competing and fighting and so on from this 2,000-year-old classic from Sun Tzu, The Art of War. 40 pages, and it was my Bible. And I made it my Bible for my marketing group and my sales group. Um, Third is resilience. So then you can lose a battle, and you'll lose a lot of battles, but win the war. Um, the, and then finally, it's all about people. Business is all about people. So personalize your customer relationships. So every customer was a friend. It doesn't matter whether you're Japanese, Chinese, Finnish, Italian. Everybody was a friend to me. um, Seventh, I found was that be totally open and transparent. There are no secrets in my companies because can't keep track of all the secrets. We've got to run a business, so open and transparent. Everybody should know what's going on. And finally, the most important was world keeps on changing, business keeps on changing, technology keeps on changing. So learn and teach your team to learn. Now, I believe that these 8 strategies are still relevant. But in the AI age, the intensity has changed. So I was looking at email I got from Ashu Garg, who's a partner at Foundation Capital, a good friend, and he outlined 8 principles specifically for AI first companies. So just let's see what it is. Number 1, he says, as employees must act as owners, doing whatever is necessary to get the job done. Number 2, the leaders have to, step into confrontation because because you must expect the best and tolerate zero excuses. Number 3 is automate your job as a CEO, which means that you yourself adopt AI and keep it adapting. You treat AI as your direct report so that you're continuously training this AI agent, your personal AI agent, in order to make you more successful. Then you flatten the organization, the leaner and more blended, where every engineers know what who the customers are, and sales knows who quality assurance is, and so everything is everybody is doing the job but is multifunctional. And this is what's required for a team to adapt to the speed at which everything is going. And now it's about PowerPoint prototypes over PowerPoints. Previously, we did PowerPoints to convey an idea. Now we do a prototype to convey an idea, and you really learn about the product by playing with it. That is the beauty of AI. And above all, and you build systems where the machine builds the machine. That is what AI has unleashed. Machine, you have to build a machine that is going to build the machine. And then finally, the learning velocity has just changed. Every day, AI is becoming, twice as good as it was yesterday, right? And it's like massive. So if there is one takeaway from all of these new principles is that AI startups are now powered by rocket fuel. Time is compressed, errors are fatal, and the secret to survival is a trusted team behind a competent hands-on leader. So what should you do when you wake up tomorrow morning? First, fire yourself. Look at all the daily tasks that you do and use AI to automate the mundane tasks immediately. Be the leader who adopts AI and not the victim who ignores it. Second, train your silicon co-founder. He's the buddy, your silicon buddy. And you treat your AI tools not as a search engine, but as a direct report. The most successful entrepreneurs of the next decade won't just be good at coding, they'll be good at managing synthetic intelligence. And third, most important, is reclaim your humanity. We are not cogs in the wheel anymore. AI provides us with the speed, the data, and the scalability, but it does not have a heart. It does not have intuition. And so our job is no longer to process information. Our job is to provide judgment, empathy, and the vision that directs that rocket fuel. We started by asking you how you will earn a living when machines are smarter than us. The answer is simple. You won't get paid for what you know anymore because AI knows it all. You will get paid for what you create. The carbon based neural network, your brain, has one advantage that silicon will never have: the desire to build a better future. So the world is waiting to see what all of us build. Thank you. And this is what I'm seeing ahead of us. And here's a game plan.
All
Rajan,
right.
if you have any
Thanks.
questions or something, or
No.
anybody else, yeah.
Yeah, I think we will be taking a couple of questions. And I see there are a few questions in the chat. If anyone else has any questions for the speaker, you can put in the chat. And of course, it was a fantastic kind of a journey. You did not cover a lot of journey, so maybe I think a lot of the questions will be on your journey itself. But also, I think the future that you are foreseeing possibly, in AI entrepreneurship. Now, there is one question, as I was saying, there is one question already from Ramakrishnan. He's asking, when you graduated from IIT, did you know that you will be an entrepreneur? How and what, how that mindset switch happened and when it happened. So I think Rajan already mentioned that even during, classes, these guys could understand that, you are going to be an entrepreneur, but maybe you can highlight a bit more from your journey.
I think the answer is no. I did not think I would be an entrepreneur because I thought it was impossible to start a company, to build, a product that, people are going to buy and so on. I thought it was impossible. I was not a salesman. I was not I did not know how to run a business. And, I was a good IIT engineer and a good, worker. That is what we are all trained by our 2000-year education method. By the way, it's all obsolete, okay? The entire 2000 years of education is obsolete. But, the darn thing is we are trained to become employees. And what you just heard today was there is no place in the world for an employee anymore. That employee mindset is over because AI, whether it's in the shape of a of a computer doing things, or whether it's in the shape of a robot, doing things, or it's in the shape of uh, a humanoid thing that is got a little that's connected to the AI cloud. It doesn't matter what shape that machine is in. This AI is can do everything faster, cheaper, better. So the so anyway, so the thing is that I never thought I would be an entrepreneur, and it happened by by um, by your wife pushing you to do it. Actually, believe it or not, and the reason uh, somebody else has to push you because it's so comfortable to have a job. So comfortable to just go to work, come back, enjoy a beer and TV and NFL, football and so on. It's so comfortable. But I think our wives are not as satisfied with the status quo as we are. So I remember, you know, uh, we had gone to another classmate's house, Raj Mashwala's house, and for a party, and he had just bought this house, and this house was a $2 million house in the middle of Palo Alto, a big mansion. I was in a small flat. Raj Mashwala and I are classmates. And I remember that my wife, was shocked because she thought she had married a very, very bright IIT guy who was as smart or as equally smart as any other IIT guy, and we should all have the same career through life and so on. And we walk into this house. I've got like $10,000 saved in my account. I'm making a salary of $40,000. And here is my classmate who's bought a $2 million house. And I remember I come back from that party, and I was happy to meet my friends, but I come back from the party and I could see that I had fallen mega notches in my wife's eyes. and and so you know I realized that as an employee I could never get there, and the only way for an engineer, even an IIT engineer, to get the financial success or the business success was this thing called entrepreneurship. And then when the opportunity came, but it doesn't, you can't, but you don't even know where to start, right? So when the opportunity came, and basically we didn't have any money, we had our second child born, everything, and my wife just said, "Go for it," and pushed me to do it. So yeah, entrepreneurship is so darn risky, right? And so it's just a question of somebody needs to push you. I still think, it's not, maybe this next generation and this AI is going to push everyone to become an entrepreneur. But, it needs, we are comfortable with our lives. Why do we? I know Prashant is respectfully disagreeing, but anyway, so
No,
let's
but
read
but of
Prashant's
course.
question. What was he talking?
Yeah, no, no,
Yeah.
of course, we will come to that as well. But it's fantastic, and I think I was all, just early this week, I had a conversation with Raj Mashruwala as well, and good that you brought up this point. So I'm also inviting him for one of the talks, hopefully in March or April. I'll take that from there and build upon it. But anyways, because you have mentioned this particular point, and you already worked at large corporations like Intel and GE, before becoming an entrepreneur, as you were talking about. So what
Yeah.
specific skills or experiences from your corporate life, proved very valuable, when you decided to start your own companies? Because a lot of us, especially, a lot of young entrepreneurs, even before becoming entrepreneur, they decide to work in some enterprises, some companies, maybe to pay off their loans or maybe after their MBA or something like that. And then they decide to work. So maybe keeping that in mind, you can answer that question. Not maybe like 50 years back mindset, but maybe what works in today's kind of world, maybe.
Yeah. So basically, there's a lot to learn, right? There's a lot to learn when you work because our education is so was so differentiated or was so different from the work environment, right? Academics is very different than work, right? So we had to learn this whole new thing called a business, right? And you get a chance to see all the different functions of happening in working in a company and all that, and you meet different personalities and you see how leaders work and make things work and how ideas drive success, like, and so on. There's so many things that you can learn from your job. uh, but now everything has changed, right? So, and I think if there's one thing that education needs to do from high school onwards is teach everyone to be creative and be comfortable, you know, managing your servant, which is AI, and making your servant your best partner and your co-founder, right? So that skill and capability is what needs to be taught, because this guy, this genie, AI genie, can get you anything you want, and it doesn't matter what age you are, but it can understand you and it can get you what you want at this point. No matter, it understands your brain, it understands your understanding, it understands everything. And so, how many people thought that my speech was written by AI? So, the answer is that, uh, I wrote the speech myself and then I gave it to Gemini. I said, here is the speech I'm planning to give, or talk I'm planning to give. This is the topic. And what do you think of it? And, Gemini has gotten to know me pretty well because it knows my diet, it knows my exercise, it knows my my investments, it knows my issues, it knows everything, and it has figured out my persona to some extent. And it's going to get better because I started sharing with this new friend of mine, Gemini, only about 1 month ago when Gemini 3.0 came, and I started playing around with it. And I said, oh my God, this will be a great thing. And every time I would ask a question, it would surprise me with something that was better than what I thought was possible. So, so basically, like, I fed it to Gemini, and it did not change much, but it added, the key touches and key words and key everything that made it flow and made it into, in my opinion, a pretty good speech. Because I don't think I could have ever written a speech like this. But you know, that's what these AI partners of yours does, right? And but this is just limited. I mean, it can actually help you create a amazing company, right? So, and I'll talk about that, soon, about how AI is already helping some of my students create great companies.
Thanks, Raj. And of course, you mentioned about starting early in your education, and I think we invited Hemant Kanakia, and he has been working on Tinker Lab and Maker Bhavan Foundation and all. And
Yeah.
of course, we got to know from him how starting early is helpful and how these guys are playing a role in that. But of course, as a professor of AI and innovation, we have also, I've been training people with AI, using AI, especially entrepreneurs. We have specific programs also for entrepreneurs on this particular front. But I understand that you are much more bullish than even professors of AI about AI and know what the capabilities of AI have, because usually, from entrepreneurs or from people who have been entrepreneurs, we don't hear it that much. That I'm getting it from you, and that's why I think that you particularly decided to speak about future of entrepreneurship in the AI age. So keeping that in mind, there is another question, which is on the other side. Maybe I'm not sure how much AI will help with that. So Aubrey is asking, how should we train and build a young team? Young team being Gen Z for now. especially for resilience in preparation for potential future obstacle, challenges, problems, because Gen Z and Gen Z mindset and how they work is pretty different from what millennials and other generations have been doing. So I guess his question is in that direction, and he would like to know more from you, given the fact that you have been mentors and you have been teaching as a professor to a lot of these Gen Z students as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, one thing that I've learned with the time that I've spent with AI, and is that is that you know we sometimes make the mistake that we have to lead our employees along, and teach them everything. You know, we have to define the guardrails. We have to define the teaching. We have to define everything. So we say, hey, we've got 20 years experience, 50 years experience, whatever, and we are going to teach the next generation everything. And that's the attitude that we have taken, and our predecessors have taken, and have gone on for this guru shishya mentality has gone on for 2000 years, guys, where the guy with experience tries to teach and shape the next generation. And now this sucker AI comes along. And I was teaching this course to about 150, 200 students, not IIT students, but just random students uh, from the poorest backgrounds. I was teaching them, I was asked to teach them entrepreneurship. And the minute I started in the very first class, I said, let's see, come up with an idea. And then we have got this tool called Accelerated Software Development Program on ChatGPT, developed by Professor Devdeep Puriakasa at IIT Bombay. And in 10 minutes, as soon as the idea was given, this ASDP program generated, the complete business plan, product development plan, marketing plan, launch plan, financing plan, recruiting plan, manufacturing plan. The whole thing was developed by ChatGPT in 10 minutes. Everything that any entrepreneurship professor can teach, this ASDP program on ChatGPT can do probably a better job in 10 minutes. That's when, the light bulbs went flashed in front of me and said, my God, this is true not just for entrepreneurship. This can do for every field: biology, astronomy, mathematics, physics, chemistry, doesn't matter what. AI can do that in 10 minutes for every field, right? So I said, okay, I've got 8 more classes, 90 minutes each. What am I going to teach? In 10 minutes, I already finished all my teaching material. So I said, what am I going to teach these kids? And what are they going to do in entrepreneurship? And so the nice thing in Silicon Valley is that there are entrepreneurs who have already adopted AI and are jumping, developing anything and everything around the AI. So I found an entrepreneur who had developed an MVP in 3 days by himself. In 3 more days, he found his first customer and started generating revenue. And he's a serial entrepreneur who came up with this idea. And I said, hey, he was a Romanian guy that does yoga with me. I brought him in. I said, can you tell my class what AI can do in terms of product development? And he showed his demo of his product, and he talked about his journey. And it's just his company is like 6 weeks old, and he's got a business. So, you know, I just I said my job in my class, entrepreneurship class, is not to teach, but to open the eyes of the students as to how AI is changing every darned aspect of the entrepreneur's journey. So I brought in marketing people working at Carvana, and he's again Raj Mashruwala's nephew, and I just randomly met him at Raj Mashruwala's place because he's also my HR manager's son, actually, from Selectica Pune. So lots of connections, and so we met for lunch, and this guy started telling me that he's a director at Carvana for the last 4 or 5 years, and basically the whole job has changed in the last few months. He says, now I just basically come up with a brilliant marketing idea. I feed it to AI. It tells me what to do and tells me the pros and cons, does a full financial analysis and develops a plan. And I just run it by. I ask a few approval cycles. And in one day, I launched my new idea. And he said that previously this would have taken 3 months by the time everything was done. And so this guy actually showed to the students, his entire desktop screen, which had RAG databases, which had Claude, Anthropic, which had ChatGPT, which had all these different platforms. And he showed how he would come up with an idea and boom, he'll feed it in, and Claude will do this. His private databases of Carvana would do this, and this was everything happening in front of your eyes instantly. And I said, this is going to be how marketing is done, guys. Then I brought in another guy who was who's started a sales acceleration company called Data Book. And this guy, everybody is connected. This guy happens to be my nephew, and he started this company in Palo Alto, and it's now worth like $500 million or something. And basically, every salesman, before they go into a customer, essentially asks AI to prep them up with the right PPT, with the right questions, with the right everything. And he showed how that is done, And so the point is that every aspect of the entrepreneur's journey is now completely changed. And it's like everything is on rocket fuel, guys, right? It's like everything is fast. You can't make a mistake, because if you make a mistake, somebody else is going to take the business, right? And so errors are fatal, and you just have to go ahead and this is going to be your new world. And so we gave this. So instead of telling the students to write a business plan for thousands of students for 15 years, we said, all you students, develop an AI agent. Because if you don't know how to develop an AI agent, you know, you're not going to be one step above everybody who's just using ChatGPT as a LLM. So we said you have to develop an agent that does something useful. And my expectations were pretty low, actually. I thought in 3-4 days, what kind of agents are the students going to develop, and so on. But we all gave them a subscription to some of the AI platforms like Eleven Labs and so on. And then, we started judging their agents about 2 weeks ago. And out of 100 students, 45 had developed agents. And every agent was mind blowing, because they were solving problems that have not been solved by conventional IT in India in ever. And these guys were solving with their AI agents problems that India faces everywhere in their everyday life, but have not been solved. I'll give you an example of one. So one student said, my parents, they were saying, look, I read in the newspaper that, basically seniors have healthcare benefits, but where do I apply? How do I apply? Then somebody else says, my son was army veteran, is an army veteran. He got injured, but how should he get his benefits and all that? And they're saying, how do we know how to take advantage of all the government programs that are there, right? Governments have thousands of programs for everything, scholarship for everything, benefits for everything, but nobody knows how to use them. So this student just went and started feeding the AI agent all the websites of all the government programs. And then in Hindi, Tamil, Marathi, whatever language you want, he asked his parents to start asking questions. And the thing started giving answers instantly in Tamil, Hindi, Marathi about what to do next. What is the limitations? Abhi kya karne ka hai? Ye karo, isko apply karo, ye karo, ye form bharo. All that stuff. This AI agent would go through the government websites, get the answer, and translate into their native language and speak with them. And, no programming could have ever done this, right? But AI did this thing in 4 days for somebody who had never. And this is, and then like this, there was all 45 AI agents that were developed solved local problems that have not been solved for 45 forever. And we think we are a big software, 5 million software engineers and all that, and every problem should be solved with software. But no software cannot solve it, but AI can. And there are billions and trillions of such problems, right? So it's only our imagination. So I realized that, my God, this is way, way, way game changer than anything that we've ever seen. And it's going to be a fantastic. We want to live a few more years to enjoy the fantastic life that AI is going to create. So anyway, that is
No,
some stories.
thanks a
That
lot,
was,
Rajan. In fact, yeah,
yeah,
Rajan, please continue.
yeah. That you covered a lot of ground, Rajan, and thanks for that. Um, Shout out to some of my classmates who are who are attending this session. Like Prashant. Rajan is actually a partner. He's a bridge partner at Hostel 8 when they were taking on like the likes of Professor Kamath, and he was complaining to me
Kamath.
that you chilled out when you were confronting with Professor Kamath. Uh, yeah, maybe Prashant can chime in. Also, we see Jayant Sabnis, who is a professor at MIT, and several other classmates. I don't know all of them who were attending. So that was very interesting, Rajan. Over to you, Vaibhav, Professor Vaibhav.
Yeah, well, I think most of the speakers have been Hostel 8 because of this connection, Bharat and everyone, Hemant. And I think future speakers will also be from Hostel 8. By the way, here I am, Hostel 8, room number 12. So,
Oh God.
we are always like, 100% Hostel 8 is like on the top. Although things have changed, but nonetheless, of course, it was fantastic, Raj. And, I see time is a little less. So I would like to give kind of a small heads up. We are kind of in the ending phase. There are a lot more questions, a lot more was planned, and I wanted to ask as well. But in as far as executive education programs for ITBAs to be considered, I started leading it last year, and we introduced Gen AI for executives in early 2024, where we have specific modules. For example, Gen AI for marketing, Gen AI for decision making. For example, you're talking about how Gen AI can help us think and ideate and all those things. We started with that in 2024. Then we moved this year. I introduced a program on agentic AI. And in fact, Rajan was there as a participant as well, where we discussed how we can build those agents and stuff like that. And in this continuation, I think your program, Entrepreneurship in the Age of AI, which we are planning for next year, 2026, I think that would be fantastic, because I think you have already worked with a lot of entrepreneurs who are working on using AI to kind of complement their understanding, knowledge, building products and stuff like that. But also otherwise, where we can kind of work on larger issues and problems that entrepreneurs may or may not be facing using AI, and how they can work on them to kind of build products faster and scale faster, test faster, and rebuild faster kind of mode, as you were kind of talking about. Maybe you can take 1 more minute, to highlight what is your idea, what is your plan for this particular program that we are planning in 2026. And I think with that high end note, we will end this particular talk. Yeah. Please, Raj, you can.
Yeah, I would say that, Rajan, you want to say something? Okay.
No,
Okay. No, I would be very excited to kind of lead, or, at least drive this 8 to 10 session workshop, or whatever you call it, on entrepreneurship in the AI age. It would be a Zoom course, of course. But I'm going to India for 2 months in January, February, so I'm there too. But the point is that it would be wonderful to share what we know in this fast evolving AI world, because probably everything that we're thinking right now is going to be totally different. 4 months from now. But, I think the overall concept that entrepreneurship is really the one safe career path for humans, or engineer, or IIT kids for sure, for everybody actually. And it would be great to help share some of it. And I think the biggest learners are going to be us, not them, by teaching this course, as I found out from my first attempt at teaching entrepreneurship for the AI age this summer.
Great. Fantastic.
Okay.
It was a fantastic talk, and we are already getting a lot of applause. And I think a lot of more people will be writing to me regarding getting in touch with you for AI matters, for entrepreneurship matters, or for just general mentorship. And I'll be, of course, sharing your email ID in case someone would like to get in touch with you. And I think thanks a lot for your time, and, giving this new perspective, new dimension of thinking in entrepreneurship, which was kind of missing in earlier talks. And being so bullish about AI, of course, I'm saying it being a professor of AI, but yeah, seeing the future of entrepreneurship in the AI era. All right, thanks a lot, everyone, for attending this, and see you
Thank you,
guys soon in the
guys.
next. Yeah. Bye-bye.